Joined now by Cal Neddenriep from the Indianapolis Star. Talk some Indiana high school football. Cal, how's it going, brother?
Hey, good, Jim. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's lovely. Always appreciate always having you back here. Another fun weekend, and I can't believe I was talking in the break. This season's almost over. I cannot believe that. But what are we, week 8?
Yeah, week 8's this week, and sectional draw comes out on Thursday. At a little different this year, doing it on a Thursday. Normally it's a Sunday, but they switched it up this year. And it's tomorrow, Thursday at 6:00. We'll know the sectional draw. So, getting down to the end here, we got 2 weeks of the regular season, and then, a bye week for 6A the following week, and most of 5A, and then everybody's playing. Everybody 4A on down's playing the playoffs here in 2 weeks.
Well, if we start at the top, man, it's hard to not ever each week talk about Center Grove, as they have started the season looking like a juggernaut, and they haven't let up.
No, they're they play Cathedral next week, and that will be maybe the game of the year. Neither team has lost a game. Cathedral's kind of ripped through their schedule, including all these Cincinnati teams, Elder and St. Xavier, and all the powerhouses over there. And they haven't really been challenged too much up to this point either. So, that could be kind of the the game of the regular season. And Center Grove, I was kind of watching Friday. I was down at Whiteland, but was kind of just following along a little bit. And they were down 14-7 to Pike, and you're kind of like, man, well, what's going on there? And then they proceed to rip off 50 points in a row, and quickly got rid of Pike in a hurry. But that's just such we've talked about them before. They're just such a dominant team defensively. So you're only. Pike was able to hit a kickoff return on them right to start the game, and then I think it was about a 55, 60-yard pass on them too. And that's kind of how you're going to have to beat them, I think, is big plays. And Cathedral does have, they have guys like that. Camden Jordan, who's a really good athlete. He's a Louisville baseball recruit, but a really good football player as well. So that will be a lot of fun to see how those teams match up. I'm actually going to see Center Grove on Friday too. They play Donovan McCulley, the IU football quarterback recruit, and they host Center Grove on Friday. So I'm going to see how that matchup goes, and I think it'll be tough for Ellen's defense to stop Center Grove, but really curious to see how McCulley and Omar Cooper go up against that really awesome Center Grove defense.
As I look through the poll that just came, the newest poll that just came out, the 6 and 5A classes, man, they are all just loaded with so many good teams. When you look down and you see a New Pal team that is down to 4, I was going to ask, what's been the biggest surprise this season? I mean, New Pal losing jumps out because they hadn't lost since 2012. What's been the biggest surprise for you this season?
I would say, probably from that standpoint, the biggest surprising game was that New Pal loss, just because it hadn't happened in so long. And Mount Vernon beating them, I was there that night, and you look back at that and you wish there could have been 6,000-7,000 people there, like there would have been in normal times, to kind of enjoy that environment in that game. It just didn't feel, without having a full crowd there, it didn't feel like the momentous occasion that it should be. But if you watch New Pal this year, they're clearly not what they were last year. They were so dominant last year, beat Center Grove back-to-back years actually. And Charlie Spigel, who we'll talk about later, was obviously a big part of that. But they lost a lot of seniors, not just Charlie Spigel from that team that was so dominant. So you expected a little bit of a slide back. They're still excellent team, very well coached, and all those sorts of things. They just don't have the talent overall and the total numbers, and they've been hit by injuries. So that was a surprise just because we hadn't seen it in so long, but probably in fairness to them, I think probably expected a little bit. I think Westfield maybe has been up here, maybe one of the bigger surprises. And I think a team that, really has a chance to go on and play for a state championship, in all honesty, on the north side of that 6A bracket. So I think they're a team that maybe, not come out of nowhere. They've been a really solid program under Jake Gilbert. They won a 5A championship a few years ago, but now moving up to 6A, I think, people who follow high school football maybe don't know Westfield as a 6A power just yet, but I think that's starting to happen. And they have a kid named Micah Hauser who plays in the safety and running back, and he's a name people should probably know. I think at some point he's going to be a Division I prospect, and I don't know what level he'll end up playing at, but just a really, really good player, hard-nosed player. And Popeye Williams, also on that defense, is a really nice player for that Westfield team as well. So expect that to be a team to watch here as we get into the second half of the kind of get into the tournament now.
As I look through the new rankings that come out, the one thing that kind of jumps out is there's a great mix from around the state. A lot of times you'll see an influence from an area, but whether it's 6A, you've got, obviously the teams from all around the Indianapolis area, but you've got Brownsburg, Elkhart, Maryville. I thought I saw an Evansville school, but then 5A, the same deal. There's schools from down the Southwest, whether it's Jasper or Evansville Central, Evansville North. A great mix. A lot of schools. The Southwest is a lot of teams. I mean, they always have great programs, of course, but it seems like a few more than normal as I look down through these polls from down in the Southwest.
Well, and you mentioned not from the Southwest, but Elkhart. That's a cool story. That's a consolidation story. Those two schools consolidated this past year, Central and Memorial, and so you have a combination of the two schools now playing on the same team again, and it's a one school, at least public school community now. And they're doing really well, 6-0 and ranked 5th in 5A, and that's a cool story. I'm hoping to at some point get up there and maybe write a little bit about that situation, because you have kids on both sides who've come in, and sometimes that doesn't work very well, as we've seen over
your snowshoes
over the course of many years. That sometimes doesn't work, but it has there in their case. So good for them. But yeah, there's a lot of good. I think the fun of the tournament is watching teams play against each other in later rounds who we don't have any common opponents to kind of gauge how good they are against each other. I thought that Merrillville-Chittard game this past week, to see Chittard beat 6A Merrillville, that was interesting. I thought it kind of shows how good that Chittard program is. Even though they're 3A, they can compete with most 5A and 6A schools. So, but yeah, I think those are the kind of matchups we're looking forward to. And honestly, we've seen a lot of those matchups because of the COVID situation this year that you otherwise wouldn't see a Merrillville play a Chittard. And so we've seen some of those matchups too, that has been a little bit of a silver lining to all of the, all the negative stuff going on with the coronavirus. So that's been one positive out of this.
Indiana's been meeting with the media as now football has started. They're practicing at pads now. And one of the names that came up here recently a lot was Charlie Spigel. I didn't get to see him play personally. I know you have came up. We talked about the vaunted program, New Pal, earlier. But that's a guy that I look at as a potential Mitchell Page. Mitchell was a walk-on that nobody wanted, and boy, he left as an MVP, a superstar. I don't know if this guy, if Charlie can have that kind of an impact, but you can't ever predict that. But man, he's certain. You can tell he's a kid that's going to give his all. He's going to work to that end.
Oh yeah, I had a chance to cover Charlie a lot. Went to his house last year and did a big feature going into the season, kind of knowing he was going to break the all-time state rushing record, and had a chance to watch him play a lot and know what type of player he is. But you mentioned it there. I even went over there a couple times while he was working out in the weight room, and he's a weight room worker, a warrior. I mean, he's as strong as they come. He's a guy who's going to put in every ounce of what he can get out of himself. He's going to put into it. And I remember talking to him the previous year. He was a junior, and at that point, didn't really have a whole lot of college interest. And I think it's probably because people didn't see him as a prototype running back. And I think he's probably not, maybe a prototype running back, because he's more of a straight ahead runner, I would say, but powerful. And I think in the old days, he would be a fullback type. But most teams don't run that I formation fullback anymore. I always thought he would be perfect in like an Army system or Air Force, or, play the fullback in a military type system. And he had that opportunity to do that. and also a lot of FCS offers as well, Indiana State and others. But decided he wanted to give it a shot at IU and see how far he could take it. And I commend him for doing that and kind of seeing see how far he can go and can he get on the field and can he make an impact? And he's a guy, like I said, I mean, he's from the school of, you put into it what you get out of it. And I think that's what he's going to do. And, he has, his family, they've kind of set up an area for him where he lives, where he lived, I guess, before he went to college, for him and his brothers to work out. And so even when he was at home, he was putting the work in the weight room and all of that, to get himself ready to go. So I know, knowing Charlie and knowing his family, knowing Kyle Ralph, the new Pal coach, he's going to leave everything he's got, and try to do it at that highest level. And, I think IU fans will, I think just like him as a person, he's not not a super talkative person. He got better, as time went on. But I think like I said, he's a guy who's just going to give it all he's got and leave everything he's got out there and get every ounce of his talent out of himself.
Yeah, it's funny for someone I've not been around at all. I did not get to see him, but that comes through. That is palpable with him. You can just tell. It's like, oh, well, okay, y'all didn't want to give me a D1 Scully. All right, well, here I come. So, and you got to love those stories. Look, again, I compared him to Mitchell Page. Mitchell went on to have great success, great friend of the show. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You love to see those opportunities. You love to see kids take those and do that, and we wish him the best of luck. And it's a great running backs room. I mean, he can be great helpful, and with the rules that he can see time this year now because of this season. So it's going to be a weird season, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him on special teams or whatever, because it doesn't matter in football. They try to get the best players on the field, period. And I can see they're not going to keep him on the sidelines long, I wouldn't think.
There was only one player I remember who could tackle him one-on-one. It was the Cathedral game last year. New Pal ended up winning that game fairly easily, but Mario McCulloch, who tragically was shot and killed in April. But he was the one guy who could go toe-to-toe with Spigel, and Mario was not a very big guy, but he could hit him low and kind of get him off balance that way. Anybody who tried to tackle Charlie, above the waist was wasting their time, and he would plow through, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, there was some. You go back and watch the video, and you'd be like, well, 6 players touched him, but couldn't get him down to the ground. His legs were so powerful, as a high school running back, and obviously he's going to see a lot better talent at the Big Ten level, but. He'll also get better. He'll also get stronger. I think. I was
going to say he's also going to be under Aaron Wellman now, who just came from the New York Giants. So, right. Wow, it's exciting to think about. Anything coming up for you, Kyle, that you've got coming out? And I'll make sure that because you're always so busy covering things. What do you have next to make sure we talk about?
Yeah, well, I've got with the sectional draw, like I said, we'll be working on that here in the next, tomorrow night. Have reaction to that. Also starting to work on some basketball stuff. I've been out to a couple open gyms even this week, up at Noblesville, and then was at Rebuff last night. So we're starting to roll out our Fab 15 stories, probably starting next week or maybe later this week still. So starting to get the basketball stuff going and looking forward to that. Brownsburg, they put out a showcase that they're going to do on December 5th. So I think as the years go by, more of these showcase events are starting to happen for basketball, which is cool. I'm still curious to see what the crowd situations will be like for high school basketball. That's still, I think, an unknown at this point. I don't know. It's hard to know even 2 months from now or 6 weeks from now where we're going to be. I think people have started to learn, hey, we just kind of take it week by week and do what we can. But you kind of wonder about basketball being an indoor sport, and we know the virus is more easily transmittable inside than outside, so it's a little different than football. But as some of these restrictions get relaxed, I am curious to see what high school basketball looks like here in a few weeks. And we'll get to that point here soon enough. But looking forward to that. And it's always a busy time with the football basketball crossover, but a lot of fun stuff coming, and looking forward to having more stuff to cover. So that's always
absolutely. It makes life a lot easier, I can promise you. Make sure you give him a follow at Kyle Neddenriep on Twitter and at the Indianapolis Star. If you're not a subscriber, you should be. I am. Kyle, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Look forward to doing it again. Have fun this weekend.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.